Yes, I killed him. It's the first thing you want to hear. People like to think for some reason I'm innocent, and because of that, my execution has been dragging out 20 years. I'm ready to die and pay for my sins. I'm Anime Belmore and I'm 40 years old. I met Benjamin Turner when I was 18, and I killed him 2 years later. Tomorrow, I shall die. Finally. But before that, you're gonna hear all the reasons why he had to die. Ben was 5 years older than I and charmed me off of my feet the very first time I laid my eyes. I had a habit of telling anyone who asked about how we met that he had put a spell on me. It really wasn't far from the truth. It was late evening and I was walking home alone from the movies when I literally bumped into the most handsome guy I have ever seen. The milkshake he was sipping on exploded all over me and I got so angry at his clumsiness, and he apologized with a big smirk on his face and started to wipe my clothes down with his hand. I stared into his eyes and I felt something move inside of me. You know those moments when you know something bad is going to happen, but you're just not able to control yourself? This was indeed one of those. Ben walked me home, and from that moment, we were inseparable. I often wonder, had I stayed home that night, would I ever have met him?
Exactly a month after our first encounter, look, I was so head over heels in love with this man that I didn't even hesitate. My family and friends were in shock, asking me if I was sure, and yes, I was sure. Ben kept telling me that they didn't want me happy, but not to worry, he would always be there for me, and I believed him. He had saved me from a boring life, and I would do anything for him. He kept asking if I was his, all his, and I always said yes. He didn't want to celebrate Christmas for reasons he didn't tell me, and much to my family's annoyance, we decided to go on a little getaway, just the two of us. I wanted him to make love to me so badly, but he refused, saying that we needed to wait until our wedding night. I admired the gentleman I thought he was. On March 22nd, 1995, we got married, and it was the best and the worst day of my life. We exchanged our vows, and I received the most beautiful ring. I remember the intriguing symbols that were laid into it. Funnily enough, that thing would never come off of my finger, and I had to saw the whole finger off during my first days in prison to convince the law officers even more of my evil traits. Everyone was having fun, or at least pretending to. I could tell people didn't really like Ben, and it made me very protective of him. Suddenly, at 3 a.m., something bizarre happened. My father raised a toast for his little girl, and just as everyone was about to have a drink, Ben grinningly shouted that I was his now. The guests began to spit and cough everywhere, saying that the drink tasted horrible. I could swear I was tasting blood in it. My father went to complain, and the party continued till early morning, as if nothing had ever happened.
Finally. I was a virgin, which seemed to please my husband immensely. He was so gentle at first, making me beg him to be rougher. I whispered to him that I wouldn't break that easily. I bled a bit, which I suspect was quite normal, but what I didn't think was normal is that he licked it all right off of me. That's something I never dared to tell anyone. He soon made me forget that as he took me straight to heaven with each thrust, making me shiver in a way I'd never felt before. As he was about to climax, he turned around to glimpse the large mirror in front of our hotel room bed, and I saw a horrible red face staring back. I closed my eyes, thinking that I was hallucinating, and when I opened them again, all was back to normal. Yet, somehow, something died inside of me at that exact moment. Naturally, as it goes, I got pregnant on my wedding night. I was so scared to tell my family, and we decided that we would wait until after the first trimester to tell them. Ben was so loving and caring, catering to my every need, and the little doubts that I had had were starting to fade away. Slowly. He would make a wonderful dad, and even though I was so young, we would manage. He said that I could always go back to school after the baby was in school too, and he would take care of us with his business. Our first ultrasound was amazing. We got to see the little bean, as we named him, and Ben was convinced it was a boy. He started to build an extra room in our little house for the nursery, and I was feeling confident that everything would be just fine. There are times when something happens, and it makes you doubt all the little things you worried about before, and it's those little nagging feelings inside of your head trying to keep you safe. Yet you brush them off as nothing, and you blame yourself for feeling silly in the first place. The nursery was coming together. We had bought so much stuff, and I was 7 months pregnant. On that day, I realized that I had been alienated from my family and friends, little by little, and that I needed them now, more than ever before. Ben was at work, and I was cooking a nice dinner for us, until suddenly I was hit with the most terrible back pain. The pregnancy had been smooth so far, and I thought maybe I was having some Braxton Hicks for doing too much in the house. I was about to go and lay down in my bed until suddenly my water broke. I was in labor and in so much pain I couldn't even move. I kept screaming, but we were so isolated there was no one nearby to hear my agony. I was vomiting all over as I had to start pushing the baby out. There was blood everywhere, and suddenly I felt that I really had to push hard. The baby shot out of me in such a force that it scared me. I knew instantly that something was wrong. He wasn't breathing. He was blue. He had a tail. I fainted. I woke up in the hospital, with Ben by my side. I was screaming, telling the staff to take him away from me. I was shouting that he's the devil himself and he needs to leave me alone. Not one person believed me. They all said I was suffering from a trauma, and it was natural for me to imagine, to see something that wasn't even there. That I had a loving husband who had been by my side the whole 3 days I had been in the hospital. I wanted my mother, my father, and my sister there. Ben said it wasn't a good idea. He said that I would see them when I felt better, but until then, I would have to rest. Don't worry, my darling. I am always here for you. I knew I had to get out. Somehow. A week later, I got home with antidepressants and hormones to stop my breast from leaking milk. I was feeling drowsy constantly, but I heard my family was coming over, but I ended up taking a nap. I heard soft murmurs and discussions in the other room. She needs time to recover, I heard Ben saying. I drifted back to sleep. I suspect Ben was drugging me with or taking any pills myself. I was sleeping and crying and eating and going to the toilet, and that's how my life went. I was constantly confused. I didn't know if it was day or night. The only time I saw Ben was when he was naked next to me trying to have sex with me. I kept screaming at him to go away and leave me alone. Who knows what he did to me when I was sleeping? One night, I woke up and I saw him outside chanting with a dark cloak on. At that point, I was sure I was not hallucinating anymore, but I knew no one would believe me. I had to get away. One day, after eating the lunch Ben had made me, I threw it all up and drank a lot of water. I knew that I needed my head to be clear, just in case he was drugging me. I packed my stuff in a suitcase and was about to leave, only to realize that the door was locked from the outside. What the hell was this? Was I a prisoner in my own home? I tried to call him, but the phone cord was cut off. I took a chair, and I threw it with all I had through the window, breaking it just enough for me to crawl through. The shards cut my clothes, and I was bleeding all over, and I didn't get far. Ben came home early. He carried me to the bath, cleaned and patched me up. He kept telling me I wasn't well and that he would take care of me. He would always take care of me. When I asked why he had locked the doors, he said it was for my own safety. I knew what I had to do. I had to pretend that everything was fine again, to win his trust. And so the pretty little housewife is starting to get back. Ben was delighted to see my recovery. It took all of my strength to keep pretending that I was madly in love with him and that I wanted him. I did everything he asked me to and more. It was slowly starting to work. He still kept the door locked, but I knew where he kept the key now. All I had to do was get it. When he was having a bath, I prepared a dinner for us. I poured a whole jar of rat poison in his food to at least knock him out, if not kill him. I was so desperate to do anything to get away from him. He ate his dinner with a great appetite, and he thanked me for the lovely meal. We sat on the couch, and we cuddled, and we watched TV together. I just kept waiting until finally he said that he was having a stomachache. I was prepared to grab the keys when he passed out, but he just farted, super loud, and laughed at it. Nothing even happened. If strong rat poison didn't even make him pass out, what was I dealing with? I kept playing my part as the and letting him do whatever he wanted under the sheets. I was telling him that I really needed to get out, see people, get some air, and he thought about it for a few days before finally agreeing. I asked to go to the supermarket, and I wanted to drive. He didn't think it was a good idea, but while he was locking the door, I sat in the driver's seat and I reversed the car into him with as much speed as I was able to get. He fell down and I did it again, this time even harder. I was determined to kill that bastard. I saw from the mirror how he got up like nothing had even happened, and he flashed this evil smile at me. So I started to drive fast to get away from all that insanity, and I don't even know how it happened, but suddenly he was running faster than I had ever seen any human run to catch this car. He jumped in, and he calmly asked me to take us back home. I woke up in a strange bed. Ben was sitting at the table drinking coffee and wishing me a good morning. I was screaming on the inside. I knew there was nothing I could do to get away, but at least I could figure out what was going on. I sat opposite him and asked him, "Why me?" He grinned and replied that I was perfect, that I was his destiny. My next question was, "What are you?" He put his coffee cup down and stared into my eyes. What happened next is very difficult to describe, as it was something I've never seen in my life, in anything, dead or living. Ben's face started to shake, as if it was about to fall off. His facial features were all over the place, changing colors from reds to greens to his natural skin color. He was making a bizarre noise that sounded familiar. I remember hearing it at night. I was screaming. I was begging him to stop, and he did. He told me he wouldn't hurt me if I only did what he needed me to do. In a surprisingly calm tone, I asked, "What do you need from me?" "Our baby," was his reply, and he went back to his coffee. I had been put back into the drug state of confusion. One day, I came out of it. Ben said it wasn't good for the baby and I would have to behave now. Apparently, I was pregnant again, and I didn't even feel it. I was touching my belly, and I realized it had gotten quite big. I had no idea how long this had been happening. I asked to go to the doctor, but Ben refused. We could handle it together at this strange new place we were living. He called it home. He was busy starting to work on the nursery and told me that he would have to go and buy some supplies. He reminded me not to do anything stupid in the meanwhile if I wanted to live. Little did he know that I wanted out so badly, I would be willing to die for it. When he left, I took a wire coat hanger and went to the bathtub with it. I pushed it inside, and it hurt so much. I had to kill whatever I had growing inside of me at any cost. I pushed the wire in again and again until I was bleeding heavily. After several hours, I was exhausted. I was so exhausted, but I felt the urge to push, and this bloody, slimy blob came out of me. I passed out. And when I came to, Ben was there. He was eating our baby, or whatever that creature was, but when he realized that I was awake, he got angry, and he started to scream at me for what I had done. He was losing his patience, and I would need to be punished immediately. Ben started dragging me around by my hair all over the house, didn't even recognize. His eyes were glowing yellow with anger, and I was too tired to care anymore. I begged him to just kill me, but he said he wouldn't. We would have our offspring, no matter what. To this date, I'm still not sure what truly happened next. Either I got some strength from some unknown source, or Ben had a moment of weakness, but the next events happened so fast that it felt completely surreal. I grabbed hold of a sledgehammer that Ben had been using to tear down a wall to make the nursery, and I hit him. Hard. I hit him with all I had, over and over and over until he finally collapsed. I didn't stop hitting him. I needed to make sure that he was dead. I dragged his body to the half-finished wall, and I have no idea how many hours I spent putting bricks back there, but I finally stood up, all bloody and dirty, looking at the wall, thinking that no one would ever find him there. I grabbed his keys, I unlocked the door, took his car, and drove until I saw city lights. I never once looked back. I went directly to the nearest police station. I told them I had killed my husband. I never told anyone the story or what he had done to me. Not until now. I felt like if I did, he would still somehow have a hold on me or my family. My family and friends came to visit me, shocked to see what had happened. They refused to believe me and kept fighting for me in the court during all this time. They shouldn't have. I need to pay for my mistake. My 20 years in this real prison have been a walk in the park compared to the 2 years that I had with that monster. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on. I have a peace in my heart that I will not see him where I will go next.